Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bosch. The number of clean diesel models in North America will double by 2014. Bosch Clean Diesel. Good, clean, fun. Bridgestone. Your journey, our passion. Dow Automotive Systems. Improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com. And by the 2013 Hyundai Sonata. Learn more at HyundaiSonata.com.
Welcome to Autoline Daily with the latest automotive news. You know, this is the time of year when automakers report their earnings, and three companies put out their numbers today: Ford, Daimler, and Peugeot. And as you might expect, they are all headed downward. Amazingly, PSA is still profitable, but it posted an operating profit of only 5 million euros, and that's on sales of nearly 30 billion euros. But the automotive operations at PSA lost 662 million euros, and analysts expect the losses to get worse as the year goes on. Meanwhile, Daimler is far more profitable, reporting an EBIT profit of 2.2 billion euros, but that was down from nearly 2.6 billion a year ago. And this despite the fact that Daimler sold more vehicles and brought in more revenue in the first half of the year. And Ford reported sharply lower profits for the first half. Not unexpectedly, Ford reported a significant pre-tax loss of more than $400 million in Europe. Profits plummeted in South America, and it lost money in Asia. However, Ford's North American operations continued to post solid pre-tax profits of more than $2 billion, despite the fact that sales and revenue fell. Traffic deaths in the U.S. have been declining since 2008, but in the first quarter of this year, they went up. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that around 7,600 people died in the first 3 months of the year in traffic accidents, compared to 6,700 last year. That's up about 13.5%. NHTSA attributes the increase to more people driving. You know, that's kind of funny because when traffic deaths were all going down, NHTSA took all the credit. Well, here's my Autoline insight. Traffic deaths always go down during a recession when fewer people are driving, and they tend to go up some when the economy improves. Kia is coming out with an all-new version of its compact minivan, the Carens, at the Paris Auto Show. The vehicle is sold as the Carens in South Korea and a few other markets, but it's known as the Rondo in most other markets. No other details are available, but as you can see from the pictures, the Carens will be a lot sleeker than the current model. Hey, here's a bit of news for you to kick around. Chevrolet just signed a 4-year agreement with the Liverpool Football Club. GM's mass market brand is now the sports team's official automotive partner. First, Chevy sponsors Manchester United, and now this, so what's going on? Well, when Joe Iwanek, GM's global chief marketing officer, was on Autoline After Hours last week, he threw out some astounding numbers. At this year's Super Bowl, the company got some 600 million advertising impressions. But when it made the Manchester United announcement, the press release alone got 1 billion impressions. You know, about 115 million people tuned into the Super Bowl this year. But Manchester had an audience of some 300 million people when it played an exhibition game in China. So there you go. If you want to take the Chevy brand global, that's the way to do it. And speaking of going global, GM is going to expand in Myanmar, of all places. Surprisingly, it's not alone in its push into the Southeastern Asian country. Of course, there are still concerns about safety and U.S. trade sanctions. The company has no dealerships there and 0 staff on the ground, but Myanmar is a country of about 60 million people, so it's a market that automakers cannot ignore. Hey, coming up next, it's time for You Said It.
Look at this. Bridgestone's using natural rubber, researching ways to enhance its quality and performance, and making their factories more environmentally friendly, producing products that save on fuel and emissions, and some that can be reused again. and promoting eco-friendly and safety driving campaigns. One team, one planet. Bridgestone.
And now it's time for some of your reports. C-Tech saw our report on Goodyear looking into making tires out of soy oil and wants to know, soy tires, are they biodegradable? When you fry the soy-based tires, do they smell like Chinese food? Man, I sure hope so. And HTG could not resist commenting on the story that the late Carroll Shelby's wife and children are splitting up his ashes after a protracted court fight over his remains. With apologies in advance, he says, so they're parting out an original Shelby? R.I.P. Mr. Shelby. HTG. One doesn't like apple pie was surprised to hear that Samsung Motors will build the next Nissan Rogue in Korea to export to the U.S. Huh, he says? When did Samsung start building cars? Well, they've been building cars for decades and were bought by Renault in the year 2000. Don't you remember when Roger Penske got the rights to the Saturn brand? He was going to have Samsung build cars and sell them as Saturns in the U.S. It came that close to happening until Carlos Ghosn pulled the rug out from under Roger at the very last minute. Bradley has something of a conspiracy theory surrounding Ford's latest recall. Recalls are a form of advertising, he says. I had no idea Ford was putting a 1.6 liter in the North American Escape. Now I know, and after going to the website, I see all the Escape engines are below 2.5 liters. Way to go, Ford! And Art NJ sure likes that recall as well. Customers will have their Escapes picked up and given a loaner. I applaud Ford for their quick and proper handling of the recall. I'm not a Ford owner, but if this is how they value and appreciate their customers, I might just buy an Escape. Wow, think about that. Using recalls to sell cars. Hey, thanks for all your letters and comments. They make us think. Hey, before we go, don't forget that bodacious auto extremist, Peter DeLorenzo, and I are taking Autoline After Hours on the road tomorrow night. We're going to be in Bob Lutz's garage, which contains an interesting collection of cars and motorcycles, and of course, Mr. Lutz himself will be regaling us with his insights and analysis of what's going on in the world of automobiles. That's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and that wraps up today's show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.